Hello again, CoinOPS fans. This is Pixel Freak bringing you a new video about Player Legends, which is just dropping. I need to take a quick moment to remind everybody this is a fair use video. I'm here just to educate and critique the build that has been brought forth for everybody. I'm not a developer, and in fact, speaking of development, the CoinOPS builds are developed on RetroFee software, which falls under a copyleft license under the GPL. That means share and share alike. Nobody holds the copyright to it, and it's intended to be that way. So I just want to get that out there, so we don't want any Pepe Le Pews here to stink up the party and ruin the fun for everybody. So with that, I want to take everybody's attention and welcome you to this introduction to Player Legends. Head on over to the CoinOPS Project Discord. Head over to the first channel that you really should spend some time in, which is the FAQ or FAQ, because in there you'll find this document that I wrote, and I will be referring to quite a bit in this video. And I'll try and go fast, which is also why I'm speaking quickly. You really want to get out and play the games. You want to see this. So I'm going to do my best to just cover some of the highlights. I want to let you know that in this document, you'll find there, it's also in the root of the build, and it really explains how Player Legends came about. It comes from the Player 3 line. It's been improved under the hood since then, a lot of artistic updates, and in fact, that's why Player Legends came about. Not only are there improvements under the hood, like addressing the memory leak in RetroFee, this build has been the things have been moved around to make that better, so that there isn't that slow burning memory leak, or at least it's greatly reduced. Peter from RetroFee has helped identify some of the issues, and some changes were made so that if you leave it in attract mode for a lengthy period of time, you shouldn't get that crash anymore, or it should take considerably longer should it pop up. But again, art updates. There are some members from the board, like, let's see, Other Barry, Jimmy B, Big Mike, Mikey did a lot of marquee updating, as well as Bloody Drake, the guy who really kind of inspired this whole Legends build by bringing up these really impressive bezels and was contributing them in the channels. And I kind of explain here, this is really from his point of view. He was taking the original art package from the entire arcade cabinet, incorporating elements from the original bezel, the control panel, side art, the marquee, anything that was involved with the arcade cabinets from the arcades that we most likely all hung around as a kid. But also it started incorporating the instruction cards, the trivia cards, things that were very relevant from these old arcade coin-op machines, and putting them together in a way that just really brought you back to that heyday of coin-op gaming. So I really liked it because some of these cards, they may be instructional. Oh, I didn't know that if you press both buttons, this happens in the game. Certain moves, but also some of the trivia. I was really impressed with the old Donkey Kong that's on there. There's no reference to Mario at all. He's Jumpman. And I was like, oh yeah, he was Jumpman before he became Mario. Also, Player Legends is a MAME-only build. It comes with 173 arcade games. There's no PC gamer. There's no other emulators in there. It is MAME only, and because it is a legendary build, it is about the heyday of the CoinOp games. Therefore, it's heavily curated, much smaller than a standard CoinOps build, and that's on purpose, using only the MAME emulator with, as it stands right now, 173 arcade games. In here, go ahead and read. It tells you they're self-contained, the best ways to put it on hard drives, how to use them, and also the issues about refresh rate and size, what the best defaults are. So also some installation and prerequisites, what to run before you run it for the first time. It also has some links in here. These blue links should take you to relevant posts to the Discord server, either pins or posts that should further explain. So go ahead and use those hyperlinks in there as well. But without further ado, let's get into the actual build itself. Let me pull up here. If you look at, this is the root folder. I want to remind you that there's restore defaults, restore Xbox controllers, restore defaults. If you find yourself stuck or something's not working quite right, restore the defaults. It'll bring it back. Most likely, unless you've really done something to it. Then you're heading over to the Discord server to ask some questions, or just reinstalling. It's a pretty small build comparatively. Also, restore Xbox controllers is just the controllers. Even though it says Xbox, it's for any controllers. It sets it back to the default Xbox configuration. In here also, I would like to remind people that the helper JPEG in there does show the menu controls on here, okay? good reference there, but you'll see, look at all these executables. Well, that's quite different than the Player 3 builds from which this was built upon and improved. Well, BP has basically taken the playlist methods that he used in Player 3, revamped them, and kind of tightened them up because this is a much smaller build. He just built executables instead of the whole playlist methods directory. In here, you'll see the 4 Pac-Man, the legends here, all in favorites. That means all is the first playlist, favorites will be the second playlist, and only those 2 playlists. This one will be all first, last played as a secondary. As you can see, that's how those 4 go. This one is probably going to be quite popular. Favorites and genres. So favorites would show up first, but then the 5 genres would be the only ones included. And that would be the 5 you're used to: old school, beat 'em up, run and gun, fight club, and smash 'em ups. The other shoot 'em ups, sorry, shoot them ups. There's 5 legends, the Inky Ghost. These ones are filtered, so instead of having all the games available, it'll be the top 25 curated by BP's lists, so it'll just be 25 in last played. It's the top 50 last played, filtered to just the top 75, etc. So those 4, all the way down to 100. Then there's just filtered favorites. I do want to kind of put a little note here. If you start messing with your favorites, I do put in the document how to zero it out and start your own list, but I want you to understand, if you zero out your favorites list, it doesn't exist to retrofeed until you put at least 1 game in there. So if you're trying to switch to the favorites playlist and there's nothing in it, it just will act like it's not there. Put a game in there, boom, it'll get picked up, it'll come right back. So hopefully that'll save you some support issues. Then you'll see down here a couple of Ryu heads: Legends Capcom Fighters and Legend Street Fighters. Pay attention to the document here, because down here it explains Legend Capcom Fighters, 16 Capcom fighting games, including the additional 7 Street Fighter games below. But it has all of these plus these. Legend Street Fighters, it's just the 7 Street Fighter titles included. So these 7 plus these 9 more will make the total 16 in Capcom Fighters. It's nice because they're isolated if you just really want to go into that fighting cabinet setup, and I cannot stress that this build is really good in a cabinet because it really is trying to emulate, no pun intended, the whole idea of just being in front of that coin-operated cabinet from back in the day, your arcade dwelling days. So with that, you've already seen the snap from the helper. I also include a visual display how to read the front end, but enough of that. Let's fire it up for the first time. In the defaults, you will see Legends. There you go. Look at these beautiful bezels. For 1941, on the right there, you've got the cards, but you still got some very, very amazing original art on there as well. The default theme, and I'll cover themes here in a moment because there's 2 directories for themes now. There's the single monitor themes, and then the second marquee monitor themes are broken out into their own directory. And that's kind of important. I'll show you why. But as you see, you scroll through here, right now we're in the default theme, and that is top horizontal linear 16 by 9. And I'll explain to you the naming convention, because there are 20 distinct themes included in this, and I'll explain to you, once you learn the naming convention, you can look at that nice long list and immediately know what you're looking for, hit it the first time and get what you want. But just take a look at some of these amazing bezels that are included. Burger Time. The instructions, yet the incredibly iconic art of Burger Time. Cabal. So with that, let's go back into the root directory here, and we will, there's the README that's also included with it. But I'd like to go into the advanced configs. Advanced configs are all explained in the document. I'll go through them quickly. Artistic playlist. This is a feature that was lately added to Player 3, but really kind of makes its debut as part of the build. Here, it's disabled by default, but you have enable and auto hide. What this does is it allows on the left side, an animated 3D character, depending on what playlist you're in, to come up. If it's enable, it's persistent. They stay there. If it's auto hide, it will stay there until you change the until you start scrolling games. So you start scrolling games, it gets out of the way. You change the playlist, that playlist appropriate 3D animation will come up, and once you start scrolling games, it'll get out of your way again. So just for purposes of this, I'm going to turn on auto hide just so you see it. I double clicked the bat, it went. Auto scroll, this is also known as attract mode. Disabled or enabled are the only 2 options in this one. It's either on or it's off. So it's a screensaver. You wait, I believe it's about a minute. If there's a timeout, it will scroll, find a game, and try to attract you showing the videos, and then slowly scroll, I think, every 20 seconds after that. Background music enable, disable, pretty self-explanatory. Cabinet mode enable and disable. Cabinet mode is really the combination of two other bats put together. Shutdown enable Windows and quick CoinOPS keyboard only. When cabinet mode is enabled, it's for folks that don't want to go reach for their keyboard, but also want to keep people from backing out of CoinOPS to the Windows desktop by hitting the coin key in the menu, which is back. And by default, that would have you go back. So it turns off the controller back in the menu so that you cannot exit. You can only exit with the keyboard escape. Also, the shutdown enable Windows. The shutdown button will then become one of the icons in the game scroll. It's a red power button. When you double click, when you choose the shutdown button, enable Windows, it will actually shut down Windows completely via bat file. And so it's a nice way to manage the power of your cabinet without having to, once again, get the keyboard. So default controls locked. By default, the default controls are locked. In other words, anytime you make changes to MAME controls, it will only be for that session when you fire CoinOPS back up or go into another MAME game, which would, in effect, restart MAME. You will not have any changes that you saved unless they were a game specific. General controls get reset. If you want to make global mapping control changes and have them stick, you need to unlock them, but then leave them unlocked. Don't make your changes and lock them. That will then cause them to default again. If you change them and you want them to stay unlocked. Glass effects, the 3 modes. It's not quite as robust as Retro Arcade 2 Elite Sunset. You have disabled, scuffed, and reflective. The default is scuffed. Disabled takes away that scuffed look. Reflective will give you that soft, reflective glow of the arcade behind you, but it's not the first person. It is just the games in the background. Keyboard and controller, a keyboard only for quick CoinOPS. I cover that briefly as part of the cabinet mode. If it's keyboard and controller, which is the default, either the coin or back on the controller or the escape on the keyboard will quit CoinOPS back to the Windows desktop. To stop your control panel and your controller from backing out and leaving it only to the keyboard, you need to run this. Scanline effect, those are self-explanatory. Do you want the scan lines to be blooming? Do you want them to be normal, or do you want them to be disabled? Normal is the default. Shutdown button, you can make it disappear so it's not a GUI icon. That's the default. If you want it, but you only want it to shut down Windows by clicking on the icon, you would have to use enable Windows. If you want it to just shut down CoinOPS or retrofee the menu, it really is what it is. If you want to get out of the menu and only go to the desktop and not shut down your PC, you would do shutdown enable CoinOPS for the icon that will back you out. Splash video enable disable. We all missed the trans robot walking down. That will enable or disable that splash video at the beginning of CoinOPS. Zero delay encoder for those of you that have generics, EG starts, or zero delays. If you find that the menu is scrolling uncontrollably without you, in other words, it's not a tracked mode where it times out like a screensaver. Say you're going right, you're scrolling, you let go, it keeps going, or it starts moving immediately on its own and you haven't started scrolling, and you have a zero delay or an EG starts or one of those generic controllers, run this. And it should make those ghosts get out of your machine and you'll be able to control the menu from that point on. So that's the advanced configs. They're all covered here at the end of the document, just in case I went too fast. There's a reference for them. So I want to cover the fact, though, that's very important that you see here, themes. There are 20 themes in here. Notice it says themes. That is for single monitor. To avoid confusion, second screen marquee. If you don't have a second screen marquee, you don't need to get into this. It's basically 2 options for each of those 20. So there are 40 in here, but it's for those that have a marquee that they want to have enabled and what theme they want to run. And secondary, do they want that marquee to be aspect correct, or do they want it to run fit to screen, which is stretching it to fit whatever size you may have? Because I've seen many different sizes of these marquees. Some folks like it to stretch just to fill it in. Some people want to keep that beautiful art from stretching, keep it aspect correct. So I'm going to spend all the time here in themes. I need you to understand that there was a lot of thought put into these 4 items in each name. The first one's going to be aspect. Second one's going to be location. The third one is going to be the shape that the logos are going to take. And the fourth is going to be the video transitions. So for example, The default one is 16 by 9 top horizontal linear, 16 by 9 aspect ratio. The logos are running across the top. They're running in a horizontal shape. Linear means that the videos will transition on every game as it scrolls in a linear fashion from left to right. There's no arcing to it. It's just left and right. Now, just to show you the slight difference, one of my favorites is 16 by 9 top horizontal fast. Run that, fire it up. What it does, the only thing that changed, oh, you see there's the animation I was talking about too. Watch as soon as I scroll, because I have it on auto hide, it went away. Let's change playlist. There it is. Big old trophy cup for favorites. But as soon as I scroll, it goes away. Back to all games though. I was talking about this theme. So the only difference was the video transition. I went from a linear, which changed on every scroll of the game, to fast. Fast means it will stay at the last playing video until you stop scrolling. So notice it's staying, let go, no sliding, it just immediately changes. And that's what makes it so fast. All right. Now, the other thing is there are many shapes, and they're all explained here in the document. Up here, I spent some time to explain all of these themes. If you forget, aspect ratio, location, shape, video transition. Shape can have 5 values. Horizontal, you've seen. Spinner, think of a frown. Spinner inverted, think of a smile. Vertical column, we're all used to that, or what used to be marquee mode in Retro Arcade 2. They're going to be the logos going up and down. They're not actually marquees in this one, but they're going to be logos stacked up and down in a line. Vertical wheel, that's been one of the most common themes throughout all the CoinOPS builds. It's going to be vertical on the right side and form a wheel for the logos. Video transition, I explained linear. The videos will slide horizontally with each logo change. Curved though, and this is a new addition. You're going to have to, it was very, very slight. It took me a while to figure out what curved was. And I was like, oh, I think I'm catching on here and I want to show you. Curved, the video transition will actually curve. It's not linear left to right. They curve when they change and transition. Fast, I've already shown you. It holds the last video until you're done scrolling, and then it snaps immediately to the one you stopped upon, not showing on each change. So let me show you a curved theme real quick here. Center, spinner, curved. Let's do that. So aspect ratio 16 by 9. Center, it's going to go through the middle here. Spinner, okay, that's going to be the frown. And then curved, that means the video animation is also going to follow an arc. Let's see. Fire it up. I expect it to be in the middle. There it is. Okay, we have our animation, which will go away. Okay, but watch the transition in the back. They're not linear, just sliding side to side. You see how they're quickly rotating a little bit with the spinner itself. Okay, you can also hold it down. It's not a fast method, so of course you're going to see each logo change, or the video change with each logo change. So let's do an inverted in a different location. So those of you following at home, if I were to do a 16 by 9 top spinner inverted curved, you would expect 16 by 9 aspect ratio. You would expect a smile on top, and the videos would also curve. Let's try it. There it is, the smile up top. The videos are curving. And just to show the difference between curved and linear. Now the videos shouldn't curve, but everything else should stay the same. And here we go. See the difference? They're scrolling left to right. There's no curve to that video transition at all. All right, so really, if you can follow that quick description, you'll be able to quickly decrypt the rest of the 20. And also, they're all listed here in the document. There's the list of all of them together, so you can look at that and go, oh, that's the one I want. You'll find it. The settings menu. Player builds don't have settings menu. It's on purpose. It's your cabinet builds. You can put them on anything. You can run them on laptops. You can run them on a home theater PC or anything hooked up to a large TV. But the idea really is these are really excellent in cabinets as well. So you don't want folks that may not be as savvy to start messing around with the administrative functions and start monkeying up things inadvertently because they're just not quite sure how it works. This should just be that simple. You have a friend over who remembers playing a game. They haven't been in an arcade for 20 years. You just fire it up and you say, hey, scroll through, pick a game, play. And they can't mess anything up. They might add or remove a favorite, but that's about all they can do. Or they might shut it down on you. So that's why there's no in-game GUI settings. It's really to be basic and simplistic just for the enjoyment of it all. I've already covered the advanced configs. The artistic playlist functions, this will tell you what icon will be in each. All games, it shows the arcade token. You've seen that. Favorites, you've seen the trophy cup. When you get last played, it actually has a large pocket watch over there on the left. Old school, you'll have a Pac-Man wearing a boxing glove, beat 'em ups. You'll have Iron Man pointing his repulsor at the screen. Run and gun, you'll have Sir Michael from Ghosts and Goblins, and I learned it was Sir Michael from one of the text cards on Ghosts and Goblins. Didn't know that before. Thank you, Bloody Drake. Fight Club displays a large Ryu in a fighting stance. Capcom fighters, Street Fighters also use the same Fight Club. It's actually called Fight as a playlist, but it has the same large Ryu. And the Shoot 'em Ups has a large TIE fighter followed by an X-Wing fighter. So just to show that off, I think that we should jump into that executable. Let's see. Let's do favorites and genres, which again, I think is going to be one of the most popular executables in there. So, all right, there's your favorites, your trophy cup. There's Pac-Man. And you notice how they float and move. Okay, as soon as I move though, because I've got it on auto hide. If I didn't have it on auto hide, if it was unenabled, it would still be there. Let's go to beat 'em ups. There's Iron Man and his repulsor. There's Sir Michael. There's Ryu. There's the TIE fighter being followed by an X-Wing. All right. So I just wanted to let you know, old school has 45 games, beat 'em ups, 29, run and gun, 40, Fight Club, 24, and shoot 'em ups, 35. Favorites come with 75 in there. I did also include a little bit to explain because some people don't understand favoriting a game and a favorites playlist. Down here, this is an all game, so this is not the favorites playlist, but you notice Double Dragon by default is not a favorite, therefore the heart is gray. If you click the start button, it will then make it a gold outline because you're in the all games playlist. Now, how you know that you're in the favorites playlist, it will not only say favorites here. If you have the animation on, you'll see the trophy here, but the heart becomes filled in with red and pulsates, really to take your attention to go, hey, you're in the favorites playlist. You can't add favorites in the favorites playlist because they're all favorites. And in fact, if you end up clicking start while you're in the favorites playlist, the only thing it will do is toggle it, and there's only one way to toggle it. It'll all of a sudden disappear from favorites. You'd have to go back to all games and add it back in. So some folks get confused as to there are favorite games and there is a favorites playlist. I do my best to explain that here. Also, if you are going to go in there and remove all of the pre-filled favorites, understand that the favorites playlist will not show up until you have at least one in there. So if it's just not coming up, add a game to it. Retrofee will then say, oh, there's a value here. I will then put in the favorites playlist like you're trying to do. So, folks, hopefully you do understand what's going on here. The themes are amazing. It's really a quick and fast build. The improvements keep coming. The artistic improvements are just absolutely stunning. So hopefully everyone here will enjoy it. Please join the Discord. Everybody is very supportive there. We all try to help each other out just because of the love of the hobby, and hopefully you love it as much as we do. And with that, I invite you to join the Discord, join my channel. I'll try to do updates as much as possible. Otherwise, game on. We'll talk to you soon.